Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon. Throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25, 20. Derek Brooks all the way. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose 27-24. They fall to 7-5 on the season. It's been kind of a rough month here in November. We're going to talk Bucs Chiefs. Let me get into the introductions. My name is Liam Mitchell. I'm with my partner, Mr. Chuck Fonstell Jr. Chuck, how are you?
I tell you what, we are having a cold front over here in Tampa Bay. We had some wicked weather this morning. There were tornado warnings, but behind it is some crisp fall air. It's going to be 42 degrees in the morning, and I finally get to wear my long sleeve outerwear.
How about that, man? I'd probably be wearing shorts still. I like wearing shorts.
Well, then you're a natural. We'll adopt you as a Floridian then. You know, it's shorts, flip flops, and a hoodie sweater. That's the classic Floridian winter wear.
I'm made for it. All right, man. Well, let's talk some Bucs Chiefs. Obviously, wasn't the outcome we wanted. An extremely slow start by the Bucs yesterday. We were down 17-0 like this. You know, I think the main reason we lost this game was obviously the slow start. And I think the biggest thing is being that this coaching staff put the trust in Carlton Davis to be able to man up man-to-man on Tyreek Hill. No help over the top. But the problem was we couldn't get any pressure. I don't blame Carlton Davis at all for that game yesterday. I actually thought he was in fairly good coverage on a lot of those plays. But when you don't put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, you're one-on-one with the fastest receiver in the National Football League. I don't care if you're Darrelle Revis. You're going to have a hard time covering Tyreek Hill.
Darrelle Revis ran a 4.40. It might have been easier for him. If you want to talk numbers, at the NFL Scouting Combine, Tyreek Hill ran a 4.27 second 40-yard dash. Carlton Davis ran a 4.53. That is a quarter of a second's difference. And you're leaving that guy on an island against, like you said, the NFL's premier speed demon. And, of course, they also have McCole Hardman. Thank God he dropped the wide-open touchdown pass, or the game probably would have been worse. But, yeah, it looked like the coaching staff was going to roll the dice. They missed Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean has not been playing his best football this season, but you have to feel like he at least would have been closer to Tyreek Hill. He might have been close enough to get his head around, maybe try and influence one of these passes. You hate to see a guy have to stop for the ball, catch it, turn around, and still be able to outsprint the coverage. You really hate to see a guy do a backflip in your house into the end zone.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, a couple of those throws, that especially that third touchdown pass to Hill, unbelievable throws. I mean, Carlton was in good coverage. They were like back shoulder passes, perfectly placed balls, and Tyreek came down with them. I can't put this on Carlton Davis when you're not getting the pressure on him. He has no help over the top. You can't put it in it. And like you said, it really hurt not having Jamel Dean yesterday. And again, you got to give credit where credit is due. Patrick Mahomes is a freak, man. I mean, he was delivering some balls that a vast majority of quarterbacks cannot make. And then the offense wasn't helping. It's yet again with this offense, they just weren't clicking on all cylinders. They're super slow starts. They're throwing deep balls, just streak routes every other play. It seemed like we're not establishing the run early on, and Rojo has looked great when he does get those chances. I think he only played in 36% of the snaps yesterday. But when you're behind the eight ball, it's kind of hard to establish that run game when you're down 17-0 immediately. It's just they're still just not quite clicking on offense. There was an early, I think on the second drive on 3rd and 2, Mike Evans was in the slot. He was open. He was quick, like just hit him. And Brady looked at Brady, and Brady wasn't even looking for the ball. It fell incomplete, and it was yet another 3 and out. And then you had the two big plays in the second half. The big catch, 46 yards or something to Chris Godwin. Very next play, it's picked off. And then the following drive, or maybe the drive after that, Ronald Jones, big run. Ball gets deflected, picked off by Tyrann Mathieu. it's just not clicking on offense. We did put up 24 points, and that's the thing I liked about this game. They didn't quit. They kept fighting, and they made it pretty close. And had it not been for the JPP hands to the face, we may have had 3 extra minutes on the clock, and who knows. But, I mean, what do you see from this offense, Chuck?
I see a coaching staff that is really determined to make work some designs that they installed early in the year. Arians earlier this year said, it might have been on Sirius Radio, I'm not sure. He said that he didn't believe this offense might hit its peak until possibly next year. And that sort of makes sense given the fact that typically NFL quarterbacks struggle in their first year in his system. You look at Carson Palmer through 22 interceptions his first year. You look at Andrew Luck through 18 interceptions his first year. We can talk about Jameis if we want to. He threw 30 interceptions last year. It takes time both for the quarterback to get on the same page with his receivers as far as the post-snap diagnoses for what the defense is doing. It's been called to attention. I brought it up this past week. Dan Orlovsky brought it up. And Tony Romo in the game brought it up several times about the lack of pre-snap motions in this offense. Now, Arians in his presser today, we're doing this Monday night, said that they do as many motions as Tom Brady wants. And I think that Brady trusts himself and thinks that he is capable of making these reads as are necessary. But in the case of Mike Evans, the second interception, though the tipped ball, it went off, I don't know if it was called passing on or it went off a defensive lineman's head and then ricocheted straight up into the air, and Tyrann Mathieu brought it down. But that was a situation where Mike Evans was the hot read, but he did not break as quickly as Brady was expecting, which led Brady to give kind of an off-target throw, and we saw the result. There are other examples of that. This is an offense that is close. It really is. Mike Evans, bless his heart, could have had a touchdown on the first drive of the game. It was a deep ball. He was trying to track it. I don't know if he lost it in the lights, but it went right past his hands. On the second drive or the third drive you were talking about, Cam Brate, the ball was where it needed to be. It might have come out a little bit quicker because of some pressure. Brate wasn't looking for it, just like you said. Chris Godwin, I think on the second drive, had a ball that was in his neighborhood, but again, came in very hot. When this offense gets pressured, they're still struggling to be able to distribute the ball quickly, and part of that is on play designs. We're taking a lot of deep shots. We've always known that Bruce Arians had a vertical pass scheme, but goodness, the first couple of drives for Kansas City in that game, I found myself jealous. I found myself looking at some of the creative designs they had. There was one, it didn't work for them, but Pat Mahomes lines up in the shotgun, takes a few steps to his left, then sprints to the right to catch the snap, hands it off for the reverse, then it goes back to Travis Kelce. Now, the play doesn't go anywhere, and they wind up kicking a field goal. They only scored 3 points on their first 3 drives, but the Bucs punted 3 times. And I have a friend named Steve. He's a big KC fan. He didn't want to watch the game with me because he's a coward. But I texted him, and I thought I texted you when it was 3-0. But the Bucs had punted a third time, and I said, somehow it feels like this game is already over. 15 seconds later, it was 10-0. And then about 3 minutes after that, it was 17-0. And it felt like a prophecy fulfilled, because the only way the Bucs were ever going to be able to win this game was in an offensive shootout where the offense hit on all cylinders. They didn't. And KC faltered down the stretch. There were some play calling issues. There were some holding penalties, but it was never really in doubt. And in the end, they got it down to 1 score, with those offensive weapons, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Pat Mahomes, who is so mobile. We don't give enough credit to just how mobile he is as a quarterback. The Chiefs, there's a reason they won the Super Bowl, and there's a reason they are one of the favorites to win it again this year. And then the Bucs found that out the hard way. Ready for the Vikings.
The Chiefs are 19-1 in their last 20 games. This is an extremely good football team, Bucs fans. And And, I said coming into the game that this offense for Kansas City, I don't care how good your defense is, they're going to put up points. And you've got to be able to do it on offense as well. You got to be able to bounce back. And the offense wasn't helping a defense that was getting shredded yesterday by going 3 and out immediately and then sending the defense right back out there to not make the necessary adjustments early on. By the way, you reminded me, can we just I don't know if this happened in Florida, but shout out to CBS for making me miss the entire first drive of the game because they would rather show Colts-Titans kneel downs in a game that was a 20-point game around there and some commercials, so I had to miss the whole first drive. So this is why Fox reigns supreme with the NFL. I mean, CBS, really? You missed the whole first drive of the game. I was clicking on I was like, what's going on here? Where's the game? I'm losing my mind. My girlfriend's in the room, like, what's going on? I'm like, they're not putting the game on. They're showing the same commercial 3 times. So sorry, I just had to rant about that for a second. CBS
millions of dollars at stake, man, with those ads.
Yeah. Who's making these decisions over there? All right, Chuck, enough of CBS, but let's get into some of the winners of the game yesterday on the field for the Bucs. I got 3 guys. I want to shout out Ronald Jones. When he was on the field, I thought he looked great. He looked explosive. Obviously, that big touchdown he had a couple other nice explosive runs. Got to shout out Gronk, 106 yards on the day on, I think, 6 receptions, couple big ones. And then Chris Godwin, I thought had a really good day. I think he fell 3 yards shy of 100 yards. Obviously made that great diving catch on a 46-yarder or something. But if I got to shout out some guys, I'll shout out those 3 guys right there. How about you, man? You got any guys you thought what you liked what you saw?
I noticed that all 3 of yours were on offense. Are we limiting this to offense? Are we going to be able to list some defensive guys as well, or is it just 3 on the whole roster?
Hey, 3 on anybody you want. I did limit them all to offense. I guess no one really stuck out. I did like that sack from Shaq Barrett. It's about time we saw him have a big playmaker type play. But those are the 3 guys that stood out the most to me, all on the offensive side of the ball yesterday.
I do want to give some love to a combination of Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul. I thought this was as active a pass rush game as I'd seen from the Bucs. Obviously, you're not going to see a whole lot of sacks against Patrick Mahomes. It's incredible to watch him just be able to drift back effortlessly, sensing pass rush, but always keeping his eyes downfield. And, off my back foot, I'll just whip a 35-yard pass down into the seam and hit it exactly where it's supposed to be. But they did force him to make some off-platform throws. At the end of the first half, they were down 1st and goal, and they forced him into 3 straight throwaways to keep it a 2-score game at the halfway mark. So the combination of JPP and Shaq Barrett, I know JPP did have that he accidentally hit Mahomes on the helmet, and it cost us, I think Greg Allman, who writes for The Athletic, said that it cost us about $1.27 on the clock. From where the interception would have happened to where we actually got the ball back after the punt, it was about 1:27. Now, when you counted up at the end of the game, I really would have liked to have had that extra time. So it is unfortunate. On offense, here's a name you didn't mention, Ali Marpet. Now, Ali Marpet, he's missed the last 3 games to concussion. He came back. He broke a 2-year streak of not being penalized. He was called for 2 holds in the game. But on one of those holds, and I'm sure you can find the clip, Donovan Smith loses his man in pass protection.
Oh, yeah.
So Ali Marpet blocks his guy and Donovan Smith's guy. Full spread eagle, just keeping these behemoths at bay. It might be an offensive lineman clip of the year. Hold be damned. I don't care. That's because Brady was rolling and Chris Jones tried to shift with him. If Brady had been behind Marpet, neither of those men were going anywhere. He was holding back 500-plus pounds of ruthless defensive player, and I've missed him. There's not another offensive lineman we have that could have done it. I don't know how many offensive linemen in the league could do it, and it was very, very impressive. And I'm also going to give some love to Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady did have a couple of interceptions. Tom Brady, he did miss some throws. I'm not putting it all on him. I think that there were some pass protection issues, notwithstanding what I just said, raving about Ali Marpet. There were some timing issues. And anytime you throw 2 interceptions in a game where you lose by 3 points, it's tough to love on the quarterback. But Tom Brady made some impressive throws in this game to get us back to a 3-point margin. You look at right before the first interception, he was trying to hit Scott Miller on a 9 route down the left side. He was hit right as he threw it, forced an inaccurate pass, and Rashad Breeland picked it off, which unfortunately ended a pretty promising drive. But the play before that, it was 3rd and 15 with the Bucs in the shadow of their own end zone. And Tom Brady, falling back with 2 men on top of him, unloads a 44-yard rainbow that Chris Godwin, with 10 pins in his finger, reaches out to make a gorgeous catch. It was probably one of the greatest throws of Tom Brady's career. It's sad that it comes in a loss, and it's a shame that it comes literally the play before an interception. But I'll give my love to the combination of the 2 defensive ends, or outside linebackers, if you want to call them that, Shaq Barrett, JPP, Ali Marpet coming back from injury, and Tom Brady. And I'll say this, I'm going to go a 5th name, Donovan Smith. Bad ankle, walked into the stadium in a boot. They were thinking he might play half the game. Gutted it out the whole game. For the most part, played quality football. And I think if he heals up, Ali Marpet gets some time to rest. This team needs this rest. I don't know if you've ever seen a team more in need of a bye week, but I've got a feeling that better things are on the way for this team.
Yeah, well, that's a great segue into what we'll talk about next here. And like you just said, I think it's very much time that this team finally gets a bye week as we head into the final quarter of the season. And look, the Bucs have lost by a combined 6 points the last 2 weeks against, I think, 2 of the best teams in the NFL right now. Granted, the Rams did just get swept by the 49ers. I think they got swept by them. But
They did.
They definitely lost them yesterday. But the Rams technically have the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. The Chiefs, as we mentioned, are 19-1 in their last 20 games. Are the defending Super Bowl champions. The Bucs have lost to a couple quality teams here when they've played teams that aren't very good. The Panthers twice, the Broncos. They've won. Besides the Bears, they've won. I mean, they've blown out good Packers and Raiders teams. Even though the Raiders got blown out in Atlanta yesterday. Holy cow. But
who are the Raiders?
Coming off this bye, I think this is the easiest 4-game stretch of the Bucs schedule. They've got a Vikings team that somehow pulled out the win against Carolina yesterday. They've lost to Dallas, of all teams, who looks awful. Minnesota, this isn't the same Minnesota of the past 3 years. I mean, the Bucs are at home. This is a game that the Bucs have got to win. I mean, this is basically the Vikings. I mean, Chicago's going like this. I don't think we're going to have to worry about Chicago when it comes to wild card spot. Minnesota is the only team that I think really threatens the Bucs to be that wild card team that would get us kicked out. I mean, say Minnesota wins this week, they would be at 6-6, heading into our house at 7-5. That's a huge game that we would have to win. And then we've got Atlanta twice. I mean, they've got an interim head coach. They've got arguably the worst defense in the league.
Well, that interim coach is Raheem the Dream Morris.
Morris.
He's got them playing some gangbusters football.
Raheem Morris and Dirk Cutter are the Falcons coordinators. If the Bucs lost, below their playoffs against a couple former head coaches, that would sting a little. And then you've got Detroit.
Wouldn't it be the most Bucs thing, though?
Yeah, seriously. And then you got Detroit in Week 16. They look downright pathetic, to say the least.
Another team that has, they've got 3/4 of their games going forward are against teams with interim head coaches.
Yeah, seriously. Detroit was shut out by Carolina a couple weeks ago. Just absolutely destroyed on Thanksgiving Day versus the Texans. I mean, this is a really easy 4-game stretch, and you've got to imagine, Chuck, that with all this talent, they've got to win at least 3 of these games, which would put us at 10-6.
They're going to need to. going to need to. I think that you are playing with fire when you start talking about easy football wins. Easy
right.
football wins. There is no such thing.
There is.
You played some high school ball, so there's
There is.
nothing easy about winning. It's hard work, and it hurts to win. A little less than it hurts to lose, but it hurts to win too. Here's where I have my pause. I look at the 4 or the 3 quarterbacks that they're going to have to face in the next 4 games. Every Bucs fan has a sore spot for Kirk Cousins, deep in their heart of hearts. I still have nightmares. If you like that, you like that. I think of Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has made a career out of torching the Bucs. And Matt Stafford can throw the football. This is a defense that struggles against the pass. We've got, I believe in Carlton Davis. He had a tough game against one of the fastest receivers in NFL history. I believe that he will match up well against the receivers that are left on our schedule. But Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jordan Whitehead, who's not great in coverage. You talk about Antoine Winfield, who's still learning the NFL, and you talk about a defensive line that, now granted, I just said that they played some of their best pass rush football after the first quarter against Kansas City, but they have got to be able to pressure the quarterback. Devin White still doesn't look like he needs to look in coverage as a linebacker. Moving forward, attacking the run, he's great. And that's one of the reasons that I feel good going against Minnesota. That's a team that needs to establish the run. I think Dalvin Cook got banged up in their most recent win this week against Carolina. I don't know what his status is going to be 2 weeks from now, but Minnesota needs to run the football. They don't want Kirk Cousins throwing it 50 times. So if the Bucs can shut down the run, that helps. But if we can't scheme things up, then we're going to be asking for Tom Brady and the Bucs offense to be scoring 35 plus points a game going forward to accomplish the goals that you just set out for them. So it is a favorable schedule. I'll give you that. I will allow us to use the word favorable. But man, easy. I get goosebumps.
That is, I'm glad you corrected me, my good sir, because favorable is the word, and he is absolutely right. There is no easy games in the NFL. It's any given Sunday. We've seen it for years with the Bucs upsetting teams. It's usually we're the underdog, and we've seen it time and time again as Bucs fans. So you're very right, my friend. It's a favorable schedule. Look, the division's out the window. New Orleans got a win yesterday. They're 9-2. The odds they go 1-4 the rest of the way are good luck.
Yes.
We can kiss the division goodbye, but there's 7 seeds this year. We can see playoff football in Tampa Bay for the first time in a very long time. We just got to finish strong. Arizona's 6-5, Minnesota's 5-6, the Rams are 7-4. Obviously, we've lost that tiebreaker to the Rams, which hurts. And those are the teams we're fighting with right now. And hopefully, we can win at least 3 of these games. I wouldn't be necessarily comfortable at 9-7.
That's a scary proposition.
And Rams,
You are in control as if you're on the Bucs right now. If you're a Buccaneer player, a Buccaneer coaching staff member, you are in control of your own destiny. All you have to do is win the games on your schedule, and no one will keep you from the playoffs.
Don't even look at anybody else.
Yeah. And honestly, if they go 11-5, they have a very real shot at the 5 seed, which would mean that they go to the winner of the NFC least. They could play the New York Giants again with a chance to clean up some of what they did wrong. They could play the Philadelphia Eagles. Liam, they could play the Washington football team in the playoffs. But first things first, people need to stay healthy on this bye week. They are no longer going to be at the facility every single day. They've got a whole week to themselves. And COVID is exploding around the country. And I know that in California, you guys kind of keep things nice and tight. Here in Florida, we don't. So I am a little bit apprehensive about what could befall our favorite football team here over the next 2 weeks. They've got to dot their I's and cross their T's and make sure that they are able to come back in a week ready and focused and healthy so that they can practice and play the games as they are scheduled.
Yeah, it's going to be a good bye week. I think it's a great time for the bye week, and hopefully they make the necessary adjustments and they have a great last month of regular season football as we look ahead at the playoffs. Well, thank you, Chuck, for coming on. I had a lot of fun in this one. Didn't have a lot of fun yesterday. I was crying myself to sleep again after the Bucs lost to the Chiefs. Just kidding, but
sorry, bud. I'm sorry. You need Gene Deckerhoff 2002 Super Bowl like highlight reel as like a lullaby to put you to sleep. Put that on your Alexa.
I seriously, all right. I'm positive. We got this. We got this, fellas.
That's
We
it.
got this, ladies and gents.
Touchdown,
Right.
Tampa Bay.
All start up that guy.
That's our boy.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Chuck. Thanks for coming on, man. We'll see you guys in the next one. I'll probably only have one other video coming out this week. It's a bye week. Might have a little history video on all the victories the Bucs have had coming off a bye. So
that's a good idea right there. I'd watch that.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.